Hello, Martin Petts here from F24 and welcome to the next video in the COVID-19 series Preparing for the Next Wave. Today we're going to be talking about a potential second or third wave and how to manage that and prepare for that within your organisation. So will there be subsequent COVID-19 waves? I think it's important to remember that pandemic flu is much worse than seasonal flu. Experts tend to agree that there's probably been around 15 pandemic flu outbreaks over the last 500 years. If you look at the last 100 years, going from the 1918 Spanish flu through to the 2020 COVID-19 flu pandemic, there's been 5 pandemics within that just over 100 years. So you could argue that the average is going up, the frequency is becoming higher. So also every seasonal flu would have started out as a pandemic type flu because the population wasn't used to the new strain and the consequences were more severe. But gradually over time, the population gains immunity from that new strain of flu and it becomes more benign. So to answer the question about whether there'll be more COVID-19 waves, experts seem to think there will be. The UK, Europe and the US, experts are saying that we'll see reoccurring waves over the next year or so, really because of their higher infection rates and the rush to get back to business. But there is an upside. Those countries' populations will generally be more used to COVID-19. They'll be more immune or have a certain amount of herd immunity to COVID-19 and they will be able to get back to normal potentially more quickly. If we look at New Zealand and Australia, for example, a second wave could be worse than the initial wave. So Australia and New Zealand have done a great job in minimising the spread of COVID-19, but that may result in herd immunity, population immunity being lower, and that could affect things in a negative way should borders need to be opened up later on. Could be causing a bigger second wave potentially in the future. So how do we prepare for all of this within our organisation? So certainly with Australia and New Zealand, so much is going to depend on how much the government opens up the borders, especially for the next summer tourist season. If things are opened up with Australia only, then there could be a small but manageable wave of COVID-19 coming along. But if the borders are opened more widely, there could be a much larger spike in COVID-19 that needs to be managed. Whichever way things go, it's likely there'll be less of an appetite for a full lockdown like there was last time, especially because of the impact that will bring on business. So there may well need to be a more selective, a more intelligent way of locking things down. This could be things like regional or partial lockdowns, maybe stricter physical distancing at the workplace or in public places, more use of personal protective equipment, maybe quicker and more effective tracking and tracing of the infection. But all of this require much more crisis management and communication within organisations and using tools like F24 and specific processes in place to make sure that things are managed a lot more efficiently and a lot more effectively. So now really is the time to test and rehearse for this potential situation and really make sure that organisations are ready for any next spike in infections. The new normal may still be living and running business with COVID-19 in the community, so reassess your preparation now. So for the UK, Europe and the US, the next wave is probably going to look a lot like the last wave, and to an extent this has made these countries a lot more prepared for the next wave. They're also having to cope with community COVID-19 infection whilst trying to get back to business. So there is a chance they can almost use the first wave as a rehearsal and make sure that any areas that were highlighted as needing attention or improvement can be addressed right now. So let us know how you're reassessing everything currently within your organisation. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel, and thank you very much and bye for now.